Hi, Gene Wojciechowski here with ESPN.com. My colleague Andy Katz, President Obama's personal bracket expert. Andy?
And now he's out because he picked North Carolina. North Carolina is out. I picked Kentucky, so now I at least have an advantage over him.
Okay, well, we'll remember that next year when you talk to him. But for now, let's talk about this Final Four matchup. Which of the two games interest you the most just right out of the box?
Well, it's obviously Kentucky-Louisville as a national semifinal. John Calipari telling both of us after the game on Sunday when they win over Baylor that he's not he's not playing against Rick Pitino. He's going to tone it down. The players obviously aren't from the state of Kentucky, so they're not going to be into this whole Louisville-Kentucky thing. It's obviously going to be a huge thing for the fan bases, but privately, I find it hard to believe that this will not consume him a little bit going against Rick Pitino and potentially losing a national semifinal to Louisville and Rick Pitino. I think obviously leading up to this game on Saturday, it has plenty of drama, plenty of soap opera to at least be leading up one of the more intriguing national semifinal games.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't buy it. I know John Calipari means well when he says it, that he thinks it is not about him and Rick Pitino. But of course it's a little bit, maybe a lot more about him and Pitino. They go back a long way. There is some animosity there and certainly some professional friction that has gone on through the years. I don't see how it cannot be a story this coming week.
Well, certainly the coaches will try to diffuse that, but when you watch this team play on Sunday, they were as impressive during a stretch as I think we've seen since Vegas in the early 90s. Just for a stretch, they weren't able to sustain it, but when they flipped the switch from down 10-5 to up 20, where everyone was involved, they were playing unselfish. I mean, Terrence Jones, much maligned Terrence Jones, had 6 assists in this game. Anthony Davis, who had the left knee contusion, finally left with 33 seconds left with a bloody lip, and he didn't want to leave. I mean, he had as impressive a game as we've seen out of him just around the basket because he wanted to stay on the floor as much as possible. They have the advantage going in against Louisville. It was interesting in talking to John Calipari after the game. He wasn't so sure they'd ever been the favorite going into the Final Four, thinking back to UMass in '96, right, Memphis in '08, last year with Kentucky, but they are. And he actually kind of smirked in kind of a coy way and said, hey, that's pretty good. We are the favorite, and they are.
Yeah, they certainly are. I think they're a prohibitive favorite to win this thing. Louisville has lost to them 3 consecutive times. They lost earlier this year by, I believe, 7 points. They know how to beat Louisville. They like the matchups there. But do you see any sort of thing, any sort of scenario with Rick Pitino having these kind of days to prepare that Louisville could win this game, especially with the way they're playing right now?
They're playing great, and obviously Dang inside has been a major factor. I just don't see them being able to distract them with the length. They may mix it up with the zone, and there could be potential problems for that, but Kentucky shredded any Baylor attempt to defend them with, mixing up their defenses. Now, in the other game, it's weird to say it's an undercard, but it will be maybe potentially in terms of storylines with Kansas and Ohio State. Kansas, under Bill Self, did a phenomenal job this season getting to this point, beating a depleted North Carolina team where they had to go with Stillman White without Kendall Marshall. But the Kansas team this season has shown so much resolve and really has improved throughout the course of the year. I think it's going to be a formidable game against an Ohio State team that got better and better behind Jared Sullinger, Aaron Craft, and the role players with Ohio State, Smith and Thomas, really played well in their win over Syracuse. I think that game should be more competitive, certainly more so than the Louisville-Kentucky game.
All right, I'm going to put you a little bit on the spot here. We know how you feel about Louisville and Kentucky. What about that Ohio State and Kansas game?
Kansas played very well, as much as I could see, in their win over North Carolina. But I'm going to go with Ohio State and Kentucky. I think that a Kentucky-Ohio State final would be a fantastic final on Monday night in New Orleans. I'll still stick with my pick, Kentucky winning the national championship.
All right. Well, my bracket is completely blown up except for Kentucky. I'm going to take Ohio State in that game, and I'm going to have to stick with my pre-tournament pick, Kentucky. But I think it's going to be a really good game.
All right, so you're taking Ohio State, I'm taking Kentucky.
No, I'm taking Kentucky. You're taking Kentucky.
Oh, in the game you're taking Ohio State.
He's totally confused me now. We're both taking Kentucky. This is Gene Wojciechowski for ESPN.com for Andy Katz.